Hello Tubesters, it's Gav. Welcome to another one of my videos. This is my entry into Charlie Mac's D-Day group build. It's a build obviously for D-Day. You can be on either side of it. You can even do civilian vehicles if you just do cars and stuff. Go and check Charlie's. I'll do a link to his channel. Go and check out his what he has to say on the subject. I can't remember the rules. But I do know that obviously it's got to be there landing on D-Day. So some of the vehicles or things I may have done in my own collection that I could have used. I couldn't because therefore I'm heavily into Normandy at the moment, but it's post the actual landings. So really it's something that comes, as was there on June the 6th. So my entry is a 15mm Flames of War M10 Achilles, which is a British M10 mobile anti-tank gun on a Sherman chassis. Obviously it was a Lend-Lease American vehicle, and we converted it from the 3-inch motor gun carriage and anti-tank gun that it got because we had the 17-pounder, which was a lot more potent than the 3-inch gun. However, on D-Day, only around, I don't know if it was 140 or 190, I think it was around 140 actually landed on D-Day as Achilles. The rest of them were still, I believe, the 3-inch, the original 3-inch gun. For some unaccountable reason, the Brits had always planned to convert these. We'd got a lot of. It was basically not only because the 17-pounder was let's face it, a better anti-tank gun. It was getting your hands on the ammunition. The Americans were obviously stockpiling ammunition for their M10s for all the fronts around the world. And although we could get a supply, it was limited. And what you didn't want to be was in the middle of combat and you run out of 3-inch ammunition. But because we got our 17-pounder, we had a load of ammunition, so it was a case of converting it to a 17-pounder. It was also a simple conversion. We had the earlier versions of the M10, and the gun mount was very easy to convert to a 17-pounder. It more or less fitted in, just coincidental. Later versions were took a bit more work, but they were supposed to have had these all converted, all 400 or so, for the invasion, and we were using them in Italy as well. I presume in Italy we were using them with the 3-inch gun, the American gun still. I don't know, but I presume so, as Italy quite often got the tail end of the supplies, and obviously the 14th Army in Burma were what supplies. But anyway, that's a different story. So yeah, we're going to have a quick look at the sprue, because I keep singing the praises of these plastic Flames of War kits. They are 15mm, so they're small, but they are very detailed. And yes, they're wargaming tanks, so sometimes the detail has to be a bit thicker. But when I look at it, I don't think it's that much. The detail isn't that much thicker than a normal model kit. So let's go down and take a look. And I'm no expert on the M10 or the M10 Achilles. We'll go through that bit in a minute, and I'll explain a few things as we go. Right, Tubesters, thanks for joining me at the bench. I've just clipped, as you probably saw, the sprue is actually attached to each other. I've just clipped it off just to make it easier for us to see, because I haven't got the overhead camera on. So let's look at our main deck. As you can see, it's got the bolted on extra armour, side and front. These would hopefully be in a defensive position, showing only frontally, so they might stand a better chance. Obviously against a Tiger or a Panther tank on a head-on, probably not. These were really defensive weapons. One shot and scoot out. You weren't there slugging it out with a Tiger across a valley, or a Panther, or even Mark IV that's hunting through a small Normandy village. or anywhere else on the Western Front or Italy. So what would happen with the Brits is, when the infantry would move up to take a farmhouse, a village, a town, the M10s would stay in slightly in reserve, obviously doing overwatch and taking on anything they could see, but they would in turn be being guarded by usually Churchill tanks, because these, unfortunately, us infanteers think that anything that tracks a turret and a gun is a tank. So it would be, oh, there's a Panther tank over there, guys. Go down and drive around the town streets and hunt it down. And you can understand the reticence of the crew to do that. As you can see, it hasn't even got a bow machine gun. You know, it's not supposed to be designed for that. It's a defensive weapon. But what we found was, although we had the 17 pounder, which was obviously a proven tank killer, the towed vehicle, the towed anti-tank guns were a lot slower getting into position. So these would move up and they could man a position really quickly, throw some type of camouflage around them, work from the middle of a building, whatever it was, and they could do that until the towed anti-tank guns could come up, and then they'd move to a different position. So yeah, as you can see, brilliant detail on them. All the filler caps. No, I can't remember which ones. They're not all for fuel, they're for oil and water as well. I can't remember which ones are which. Details I'll change. I'm not doing any major scratch building on these. I'm not taking these lids off. I'll keep them all up. In fact, the whole vehicle will probably be enclosed. But things like these lights, as you can see, they are fairly simple. You've got those there. I will do my best to try and work something out on those, because that's something that shows it's a gaming piece. It is very simplified there. But grills are fine. These would be for track placement for the spare tracks. Rear of the engine deck. Let's put it this way. I mean, as a petrol engine, you wouldn't expect a ton of exhaust staining down there, but we'll put a bit in maybe. I will be checking up on photographs, obviously, and all the research to see what bits, if need to be added. I'm not going to ding these front pieces up, these mud guards or fenders, whatever you want to call them. They'll all be intact. I want this to be a fairly straightforward build, because I'm doing a Ukrainian Army Bradley. Well, will be. This one was actually ordered before the other one, and it's come first. You get all your usual pioneering tools. They're already pre-moulded, but as you can see, I think they're more than up to the job. We've got starting handles and everything there. In fact, it would be this way, but there you go. And again, our light clusters there, they're more or less non-existent, so try and do something with those. These are our track pieces to go on the side. I may well texture this up. Let's have a go at texturing this up. I don't know. No, I'm not going to be putting casting numbers on, but I might texture that up, see what it looks like in 15mm as an experiment. Now, I'm not sure here, that's a longer gun. Well, let's go to the other one. That's our 3-inch American supplied anti-tank gun. I'm not sure if both of these are 17s pounders. I'm not sure what's going on there, because the 17 pounder was a fairly long gun. That's the counterbalance weight. You'd think that was a 17 pounder because we put these counterbalance weights on. You'll often see barrels on British Fireflies particularly, but also on M10s, that are camouflaged with wavy camouflage. The reason for that is they're trying to disguise that it's a 17 pounder, hopefully, because the 17 pounder armed vehicles would be obviously the first kill for a German tank. If it saw 4 or 5, say, Shermans, as in like one Firefly and the rest with the normal 75s, they're going to knock the 17 pounder out first, and that's what the crews are finding out. So they did try to black out and camouflage the counterbalance weight. So I'm not sure with this guy here what that one is. I'll have to be doing the research. This is the top that the Archers, that's a different 17 pounder, Achilles had. Again, I presume I'm going to have to do more research. The ones I saw were all open topped with 17s on, but I'm reliably informed that these were the Achilles version, so it'll be handy, because I know I like to show the open top vehicles because I can do, but this one I wanted to make it fairly simple. So these would be in real life, that when they put these on top of the M10s, because obviously they're all M10s are always open, which we'll show you in a second. But these are 20mm thick overhead protection armour. These little dooblies here are for just to put the turret on, so you can move it if you want to, or to anchor the turret. Now it comes with 250s, which is handy because for some of my Ukrainian builds I could do with extra 50s. I plan to do some Humvees, which should come with a 50 anyway, but if not, I might have myself an extra 50 for those. I think that's it on that sprue. And we've got a bit of stowage there. But even the 50s, really well made. Nicely done for 15mm. We've got our ammo box, a bit simplified on the side again, but we can sort that out. That's Archie clip-clopping about the place. Here's our turret. Sorry about Archie doing some clipping, he's just clipper-clopping as we call it, he's just woken up. We've got this is the, I would imagine, the legs for the 50. I've only ever seen these armed with 150 cal, so I'm only sticking one on. We needed a bustle as well, more on the M10, because of the Achilles version, because of the 17-pounder is a long weapon. We've got some spare shells there. A bit more track. Jerry can, again, just the top needs. It's little things like that. They don't let it, I'd never say it lets it down, because these are wargaming pieces, but I say that they really are fantastic little projects to have a go at. We've got some different mantlets for each variant. I'll have to go on the Battlefront website to get a better idea. And obviously we've got our recoil breeches, everything there. I think that's about it. Oh, the tracks. Again, let's have a look at the tracks. Again, Sherman tanks, if you didn't know, Germans tended to sag more because they weren't, these have got their own tensioners on, so a Sherman will always have fairly tight tracks. But if you see the detail again, brilliant. You know, for 15mm. I mean, yeah, obviously what I tend to do with these is just go around with a bit of black lining on these rollers. Just to show that, you know, there's a slight gap there, that they're not moulded up. I mean, they are obviously moulded directly to the plastic, but there's little things you can do just to bring them out a bit. No, very nice. I'm always impressed with these, the more that I do of them. So I've got a Bradley coming soon. It's got a very slight amount of damage done to it, so the guy was selling it off cheap, but on the sprue still. But I've got a Bradley coming as well for a Ukrainian build. But this is for Charlie Mac's D-Day group build. Thanks for putting it on, Charlie, if you've watched all this. I doubt it, but he might do. It'll be done when it's done, but it'll be done before the end of the group build, which is, funny enough, June the 6th. So, the only thing I haven't got, which I knew, is a decal sheet. Now, when you buy a decal sheet, the last time I bought them, I got two sets in there, and I was umming and ahhing whether to do a 1 in 76 build, which would have cost me, I was looking at IBG and some British Army lorries or trucks, and they were coming in at around 13 to 15 quid. Now, when I buy a decal sheet for these, it will bring this up to about, the entire cost will be around a tenner. But those decals I can use for numerous allied vehicles. I could probably get away with building another 10-12 vehicles, so that's where there was a better trade-off in that, so I went for my usual 15mm. So thank you very much for hearing me out, if you have done. If you've got any knowledge on the Achilles you want to put down in the comments, please do so. it just, not only does it enlighten me, it enlightens anybody that happens to stumble along and read these comments, so that's always appreciated. As I say, I've got another Flames of War Bradley, which I've got for the sum total of £6, which I was very pleased with. I didn't need decals for that. That's going to be an American supplied Ukrainian Bradley, and I am hoping to do a fair bit of work with that. So look after yourselves. Thanks for listening to me ramble along, and we'll catch each other very soon on another video.